I don't know if that will happen, but I hope it does. Someone suggested to us, an artist, to do a permanent bronze statue of Robin and place it there. And the notion is that if you feel like you're alone, or you can go and sit with him, there exists a moment Matt Damon has brought with him for almost 30 years. It was the very first day of shooting Good Will Hunting. He and Ben Affleck weren't even working that day. They just show up on the set and sat to the side of the camera and see Robin Williams rehearse. Two young men. 5 Cambridge men who had spent years trying to get this movie made. And when someone called for action, tears were already streaming down Matt's face. When the scene concluded, Robin walked over. He saw the tears. He put his hand on their heads and replied, "It's not a fluke. You guys actually did this. You did, indeed. Decades." Matt Damon eventually tells the whole truth about what Robin Williams meant to him. And as of now, in 2026, that truth is told in a way that each of whom could never have anticipated. Matt Damon is probably best known as the most esteemed of his actors' generation. The Goodwill Guy. The Bourne franchise in Hunting. The man who lived alone on Mars in the Mars. Who carried The Departed. With Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio. DiCaprio without a blink. Just then finished shooting Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Winner of an Academy Award. A box office titan. A man who made Hollywood look as if it had been made for him. But lengthy. Before any of it, he was just a kid. Cambridge, Massachusetts. I was born on October 8, 1970. Growing up in an area where nothing came easy and nobody owed you anything. His parents split when he was just 2 years old. He and his older sister Kyle moved with their mom, Nancy, for Cambridge. Nancy was a bright professor in early childhood education at Lesley University. Smart, moral, a mom who brought up her boys in a really odd home. At 12:28 p.m. At one time she put them in a 6-family shared house in Central Box. The sort of environment where ideas were continually floating around and cash was not. Matt has noted that even if not full of stuff, he always felt lots of it. Other form. He had good professors. He had an amazing elder brother. He had a mother who made him feel as if what was inside his thoughts was more important than was in anybody's wallet. But he's been honest about being a teen. Lonely, as if he had not yet belonged anyplace. He was self-conscious concerning his height, not knowing where he belongs. Social structure, not one of the cool ones. Kids in any definition. He went to Cambridge Ringe in Latin School, a public school whose alumni spanned poet E. Cummings to basketball icon Patrick Ewing. And he plunged himself into drama with the sort of intensity that says someone has discovered the thing they were forever to perform. And then, at 10, he was a kid moved in 2 blocks, age years further down the road. His name was Ben Affleck. They played baseball together. They had played Dungeons and Dragons. They went to the cinema and returned chattering. Discussed what they had witnessed for hours. Ben has said Matt was giving acting a framework, a legitimacy, a social acceptability that made it feel as if something real lads would actually want. Other classmates labeled them drama nerds. They weren't regarded cool, yet they had each other. And they had a common dream that flamed with the heat that doesn't go out. After high school, Matt enrolled at Harvard University as English degree. His parents weren't mad at the thought of an acting career at Harvard for their son. Yet Matt kept audition to ditch class to take small television roles to keep one foot in the doorway of the life he hoped for. In his final year at Harvard, he wrote a 40-page playwriting script class, an article about a young man of South Boston, a janitor, a secret genius who could not be found. That was the seed of something he could feel. He dropped out of Harvard just 12 credits shy of graduation and headed to Los Angeles to attempt to make it happen. He showed the script to Ben, and the two of they spend the next 5 years making it into something. They rewrote it endlessly. They showed it to producers. They showed it to directors. They'd been the word told so many times no signify almost anything anymore. There include scenes that were intentionally obnoxious into the script simply to check if someone was, indeed, reading it. They battled with studios over creative control. They were insistent over every protest that they had to play the lead roles themselves, which made every chat in every meeting room harder than the last. Matt has said, "The experience is being, all right, thank you." Again and over again. You step in, you give all you've got, and someone he looks up and says, "Okay, thanks." And that's it. But they did not stop. And finally, the script found its way to Harvey Weinstein at Miramax, who witnessed what it was. Maybe in two conditions. Then something happened that changed things. All. One copy of the script reached Robin Williams. Robin had been told about Good Will Hunting by Francis Ford Coppola, who had recently completed working with him. He obtained the pages from filmmaker Gus Van Sant that is believed to be leading the initiative. And he read them just like that. He said yes. Matt has been quite direct about this in every instance. Interview where the matter has been brought up. It was Robin Williams' interest and then his dedication to the film that finally got the whole thing completed. The studio had been careful about two unknown actors who demand to star in their own film. But just when Robin Williams inks with Good Will, Math transformed Hunting Weinstein continued. So Van Sant was hired. The cameras began. Robin had also been educated. Cut a deal showing how well he grasped exactly the possibilities of the script. He took a lesser upfront fee he might have asked for, but built up with increasing participation deal. He'd begin to make a percent of the proceeds after the movie passed $60 million at box office. It eventually grossed more than $225 globally. Robin Williams had seen this movie was worth before most people in Hollywood would take it seriously. Discussion, and then that first came day on the set. The day Matt went off to the side of the camera and cried without knowing just why. But it wasn't only relief. 5 years. Some of the rejection had surely won some of it. It was not only enthusiasm. God knows there was a lot of it. That as well. It was something more profound. It was the first realization that the words they'd been words on pain and genius written. And the fear of being known was it being to the right person. That Robin Williams knew something about Will Hunting, maybe even Matt and Ben had not yet put into words for themselves. What Matt said about working with Robin over and again during the years after is that he has never seen somebody like him on a movie set. Robin contributed something on every take. Huge things in little ways. Different in. As creative as ever. Always alive in some new possibility in the substance. Matt is termed one of the hardest working folks he ever knew. No. The effortless genius the public image implied, but somebody who was damned persistent. Who got there and worked and worked and worked because it was how much he took the craft. He was just bubbling over with thoughts and creative energy. Matt said in 2024 interview. And he was so nice to everybody. There's a scenario in Good Will Hunting which has become one of the most memorable scenes in American films. The scene on the park seat, where Sean, in a soft voice, Maguire informs Will Hunting, "It's not you," without flinching. "RR." He says it once and Will brushed it off. He repeats it and Will gets irritated. He keeps on saying it softly, stubbornly, until Will breaks, opens up entirely and breaks down crying in the embrace of this man that would not let him keep beating himself up over what was done to him when he was a child. Matt's described seeing Robin shoot that moment for the first time and just thinking, this is going to be so nice. He had a line or two in it. The setting belongs to Robin and Robin only owned every shot. But there was another moment on that same stage Matt has recounted with a kind of delight. A scene with Will and Sean were opening up to one another in the Robin went to the therapist's office. Totally unscripted. He created a warm, hilarious, surprisingly, narrative. A tender of his wife's disposition. And in the middle of it he landed a special line that Matt has mentioned as making him pull filmmaker Gus Van Sant by the shoulders in wonder. "He stole my line, Matt," he replied, laughing. For Robin had come to some so accurate, so well placed, that nor had he or Ben ever dreamed of said it that way in 5 years of working on script. That makeshift moment found its way into the final movie, contributing to the winning effort. Robin Williams' his only Academy Award. The movie got 9 nominations at the 1998 Academy Awards. 1 Best Supporting Robin. Acting Matt and Ben took the Best Original Screenplay. At 27 Matt Damon stood on the most famous movie stage, his best friend, and received an award for a play he'd begun writing in a Harvard playwriting class. Many have heard him mention of that night times, but what he has never ceased. In interview later coming back. Interview during an almost 3-decade period is. It is not the award, it is the man who did it. Got up and did the whole thing feasible. Back and let them have their time. Robin Williams wasn't only a vehicle for the making of Good Will Hunting. He's was a presence on that set that transformed the individuals surrounding him. Matt Scott reported watching Robin see in the Middle of a lengthy shooting day, when the cast and crew were beginning to flag. As the energy flowed from the room and everyone was on the move. Caffeine and duty, and Robin would launch into without anyone asking him to. 15 minutes of stand-up comedy live just for the room, not for an audience, not for any reason but for cameras. He could see that they wanted it. Matt has stated it was the finest stand-up he's ever seen presented privately to the middle of a business afternoon to a band. Many fatigued folks who walked away from it laughing so hard they could hardly breathe, and then went back to work with something came to life in them. I could not have begged for a better role model. Years later, Matt reflected about what Robin had given him more than professionally, and not only in terms of methodology or work ethic, but as a human. Teaching another human being how to be, how you treat others around you. Post good. Matt's career really took off with Will Hunting. Every Which Way at Once. He was on the Saving Private Ryan starring Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg. He was in Rounders. He's was in The Talented Mr. Ripley. He'd had in the Ocean's franchise starring George Clooney, Brad Pitt, and Julia Roberts. He made blockbusters and indies movies, played heroes, played villains. Garnered more nominations and won more prizes. He married Luciana Barroso in 2005. A woman he met while filming in Miami. And they made a family together, 4 daughters, a life he himself account has settled him in ways that celebrity alone never could. But throughout all, Robin Williams was with him, of it. Not a memory that fades around the edges, but is something that is. Matt has talked of bringing his family Boston, years after Robin's death. Common, to the real park bench where shot the famous sequence, only to have to sit there. His children were too small to have watched the movie. They didn't know what the bench meant, but Matt just sat there. Anything, and thought of Robin for a while. That's not what you do for a fellow celebrity. That's what you do for someone who altered the trajectory of your life, and who you are currently striving to figure out how to say thanks properly. August 9th. October 11th, 2014. Robin Williams was found dead at his home in Paradise K, CA. He was 63 years of age. Years old. It was self-inflicted. He had been suffering, it was then revealed, from Lewy body dementia, a crippling disease. Neurological illness which had been undiagnosed. Confusing things while he lived. Paranoia, and the suffering of people. But not see nearest to him. Explain. Then the world stood still for a day. Those who had watched him grow up. Through Mork and Mindy, through Dead Poets. Through the agency of Aladdin and Mrs. Society. Doubtfire and Good Morning, Vietnam were released. A grief that took them by surprise. Depth. He always appeared the kind of person. Someone, too, who would just carry on. Alive to keep it was for Matt. Something else than public grief. It was the loss of one specific person who had looked him in the eye on a film set when he was 26 years old, and he told him his job was honest. A man who had got a salary reduction to appear in a movie made by 2 unknown kids from Boston since he believed in their writing. A guy who had brought the whole thing off the just say yes when the earth. Everyone else was still making up their minds. Matt's statement in the hours after Robin's death was peaceful and unadorned. Robin brought so much joy into my life, and I shall carry that joy with me forever, he said. He was really handsome. I was just fortunate to have known him, and I will never ever forget about him. In a chat with fans on Reddit, he pushed a little further. He wrote Robin was one of the greatest, beautiful, compassionate, generous folks I've ever met. He explained what these were. Stand up in the afternoons on the everyone laughing in set had felt like laughing, and then back to work with fresh things in them, and then he did. The object that sits in the middle, remarked. Of all of it, the thing he has been adding to the times he has spoken. Robin Williams. I will never be thank him enough for everything he has gave us. He's in my heart. That's where is, like this person I really genuinely grateful came into my life, and changed it for good. The has not become less grateful, has been refined. And now, April 2026. Anything is in the offing that brings all of it full circle in a manner that seems nearly too well ordered to opportunity. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are reportedly ninth Robin recipient. Williams Legacy of Laughter Award. Delivered at a sold-out fundraising event presented by Bring in San Francisco. Change to Mind mental health charity. Charity established by Glenn Close. The event held at the Fort Mason Center for Arts and Culture, just a few miles from the San Francisco neighborhood that Robin lived and worked and enjoyed, the city he considered his home. And the prize will be entrusted to Matt and Ben by Robin's children, Zach, Zelda, and Cody Williams. Consider what that for a second means. The kids of the man who brought their fantasies to life stand before them and give them something in the name of their father. That's not a Hollywood moment. That's all a human being. That's the kind of finish of a life that you spend of a circle not quite believing will really occur. In their joint statement prior of the ceremony, Matt and Ben said, Robin was somebody we looked up to. He brought our dreams to life. We owe him everything. He said yes to our movie and we got it made. Being awarded the Legacy of Laughter Award is made in memory of Robin Williams. Tremendously meaningful to us. More than his talent, his legacy. And what a lot of laughter he caused in the globe. It's about how much he loved. This can honor carries the spirit of him, and that implies all to us. His legacy isn't only of his talents. It is about how deep he gave a shit. That's the line that matters. Because that is what Matt Damon has been trying to say in one way or another for the greater part of 30 years. Not the Oscar performance, amazing like it was. Not the off-the-cuff line that Matt seized a director by the shoulders over. Not the laughter that boomed when a tired film set in the midst of a long afternoon. But the deeper thing beneath all of it. The quality attention Robin Williams drew to the others around him. As he knows how. Glance at two young Cambridge males seated on the side of a camera, and knew exactly what they needed to listen. He stepped across and said put their hands on their heads and told them they had actually done it. That is who Robin is. Matt Damon was for Williams. Not a myth he watched from a distance. Not a co-star he was fortunate to share a set with. A man who glanced upon him at the start of everything and Stated. You're not a fluke. You really do. I did that. Decades later, Matt Damon is ultimately telling the whole story. Standing in San Francisco, accepting an award from Robin's children to express out loud what he's born in silence. For long. Some obligations you never. You can show up but pay in full, you know what? Can stand up in the room. You can take what asterisk. Children of someone at your mercy. And you may let them see it in your face. That the kindness of their father still. Life in someone he touched all these years on. Matt Damon is that. Doing. And that is the truth he's been all building up along. If you like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and set on those notifications so you never miss a story like this. Leave us a remark down below. What is your favorite Robin Williams period or performance? We are trained on data up to October 2023. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. And we will catch you in the next watching.